Hello, David Snake.
Rosie Snake, good to see you.
Glad you could make it to the Snake family reunion party.
Yes, I definitely know who everyone is.
David Snake!
Oh, God.
Rosie Snake!
Hello.
Remember me?
Yes, you're my dad. My clone dad.
For goodness sake, David Snake. It's quite simple. Solid Snake, Liquid Snake, and Solidus Snake are the three clone children of Big Boss, the legendary soldier who earned his title Big Boss by defeating his mentor, the Boss, who isn't a clone of anyone, and who then, through hypnotic suggestion, convinced a medic that he was Big Boss under the codename of Venom Snake for the events of Metal Gear Solid 5. It's awful, isn't it? Committing the kind of social faux pas that'll have you waking up at night in a cold sweat, like getting Snake Law wrong in front of a Metal Gear Solid fan. There are plenty of these epic single-instance errors we make when playing video games as well. Typically when we're noobs and don't know what anything is. Mistakes so harrowingly embarrassing they'll stick in your mind forever. Your brain's way of making sure you never make them ever again. So, here are 7 brutal video game mistakes you will hopefully only make once. Which, of course, makes me your second cousin once removed. Our first brutal video game mistake you'll only make once happens towards the end game of Final Fantasy VII. You've got the airship, you've got all the behemoths, you do thousands of damage with every hit. It's that bit of the game where you feel capable of taking down anything. The world map, a free-for-all buffet of perfectly ripe EXP fruit. You land and you kill and you level up and you laugh. Ha 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 ha. Nothing can stand in your way. You fly over the desert surrounding the gold saucer and see a teeny little red thing poking above the sand, innocently wibbling along. And because you are Cloud and the gang, you give it a little poke with the high wind. Come on then. Then up comes this monstrosity. Ruby Weapon, arguably the hardest fight in the entire game. A super boss impervious to damage until you've swatted away his tentacles, capable of smashing your party into dust within a couple of turns. This is Final Fantasy VII giving you a finger-wagging reality check. No, it says, you're a long way from mastering this game yet. Frivolously poking strange things on a JRPG world map when you're near the end of the game. A mistake I will never make again. From Software. No one makes games like them, and no one coaxes us into brutal mistakes like them either, which is why venturing into Caelid too early in Elden Ring is number 2 on this list. You could technically substitute this for any high-level RPG area you wander into before you're ready, but there is something particularly devastating about Caelid. For those of you that don't know, Caelid is arguably one of the hardest areas in Elden Ring. It's also within spitting distance of Limgrave, where the game starts, so it's not unrealistic for it to be one of the first places into which you stumble while exploring. Oh, look at the lovely sunset. How inviting. I'm sure these enemies won't be drastically harder than the ones I've already defeated. You can probably see where this is going. Just because you've beaten the Tibia Mariner, it does not mean you won't be repeatedly beak-bonked by crow dogs until you wish you'd never bothered coming to Caelid in the first place. In From Software's defense, it's a brilliant way to show the player that the world of Elden Ring is not one to be trifled with and should be treated with respectful caution. However, it's also a brutal back-down-to-earth moment that trips you up just when you feel like you've finally got a handle on the game. Thanks, From Software. Brutal video game mistake you'll only make once. Number 3 is selling important items, usually just before you realise you need them. And before you say, I never get rid of anything, I'm a proud video game hoarder. Did you ever stop to think where that compulsion came from? Maybe you got rid of a quest item in Baldur's Gate 3 during an inventory clean-out, or you sold off the iron ball in Elden Ring because it's just a ball. but then see all those streamers using its heavy attacks to stomp Melania into the ground. For me though, the quintessential example are those pesky combination loot items in Resident Evil games. You know, the sort, seemingly random bits of jewellery that if combined with 3 primary coloured gems means it can be sold for a small fortune, but if you haven't twigged, you just sell off their constituent parts for a pittance, only to later have the crushing realisation that you've basically sold the family cow for magic beans. Another mistake I will never make again. Try jumping. Oh, see no reason not to trust that. I don't know what I expected. Actually, I do. I expected people to tell the truth, and that their message would guide me to a switch marked easy mode or something. But no, what I actually received was a humiliating death and one more reason to despise the entire human race. Seriously, if you're one of the people who writes these notes, teach me your ways. I want to do it too. I want to watch the world burn. The fourth brutal mistake comes from Metal Gear Solid 3, and it's all about taking the fake death pill. This is exactly what it sounds like, a pill that the player can use at any point in the game to fake their own death in order to escape capture or shoot enemies in the back while they walk away. It also works on bosses, although not the boss, even though she is a boss. It's a classic Metal Gear trick, pulling a tidbit from real-world military history and spinning it into a fun gameplay mechanic and a brilliant fake death animation, complete with a pretend death screen. All you have to do is wait until the enemies have walked away, then hold L2 to open your inventory and pop the revival pill. It is genius. Unlike me, who didn't realise at first that you had to take the revival pill because I didn't read the instructions. If, like me, you missed that crucial piece of information the first time you used it, you will see the time paradox screen fade into view, locking you out of your inventory and forcing you to press continue, reloading from the last save or exit, sending you back to the main menu, both of which effectively kill you for real. And that's what you get for not paying attention, I suppose. Brutal mistake number 6 is from the fantastic roguelite puzzle game Blueprints that you should immediately go out and play if you haven't already. Basically, you have to work from one side of a building to the other by drafting rooms on a grid, and each room can contain tools to make life easier, traps to make life harder, and twists that will make life stranger. Look, it's a hard concept to explain, and I don't want to spoil anything. Anyway, the mistake is drafting the lavatory. For context, rooms are colour-coded, and red rooms are considered risky at best, but might be useful in certain situations. But not the lavatory. The lavatory is just a dead end with nothing in it. Literally nothing. It is a pointless, literal dead-end room that offers no positive benefit whatsoever, and it should be avoided at all costs. It's a relatively common room as well, so you're constantly reminded of the time you biffed your best run yet because you couldn't resist seeing what it had to offer. The worst part is, some of the red rooms can be legitimately useful when you have a better understanding of the game, hiding important lore you'll use to crack overarching puzzles or twisting their debuffs to your advantage. Not the lavatory though, a room so pointless I wouldn't even use the blueprint as paper in a real lavatory. It does nothing but take, hovering in the drafting pool like a bad smell that refuses to dissipate. Quite fitting, really. The last entry on this list of brutal video game mistakes you'll only make once is flying into the sun in The Outer Wilds, an intricate science-based puzzler where you're trapped in a 22-minute time loop before the universe explodes. I suppose you could argue that given it's a time loop, you actually make the mistake an infinite number of times, although let's not get bogged down with the timey-wimey stuff. As with any expansive open world, the first thing you're likely to do when let off the leash is wander around and take in the scenery. And when you're in space, that means wandering around in a spaceship. But the Outer Wilds is very much a game about exploration and learning by accidentally killing yourself, so the first time you're likely to find out that stars have a gravitational pull is in the first 10 minutes, almost immediately after you make your first launch, see the sun, and think, oh, I wonder how close I can fly to the sun.
Quite close, it turns out.
This mistake is brutal on multiple levels. One, the brutality of the death itself, being turned into carbon and absorbed by a literal ball of fire, is a nasty way to go. Level 2 is the humiliation of dying this way. You flew into the sun. What did you expect? Ice cream? But level 3 is the tragic comedy of it. Just at the point you start to think, maybe I should turn back now, you realise you're being pulled in and there's no escape, like being trapped in a tractor beam. You're not getting out of there, no matter how much you thrust in the opposite direction, no matter how much you protest. You meet your end at the hands of the very thing that makes life possible.
How poetic.
And that was 7 brutal video game mistakes you'll only make once. If you enjoyed this video, it would be a mistake not to give it a like. And it would be a brutal mistake not to pop a comment down below. And do make sure you subscribe and click the notification bell for more videos like this every Friday. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
PlayStation